Good morning, Cullman. Thank you for joining us on Cullman Today. I'm your host, Christine Wiggins, and today is Monday, January 20th. Coming up on Cullman Today, cold weather pet tips, upcoming senior center events, and local warming shelters. All of this plus sports, weather, and more. Now let's take a closer look at the top stories happening in Cullman today. During these cold winter months, Cullman County Animal Control asks that pet owners be extra aware of the care of their animals. Director Rodney Bannister recommends that if your pets live outdoors, bring them indoors during particularly cold temperatures. Cats and dogs are susceptible to frostbite and hypothermia, just like humans. Pets should be provided with a dry, draft-free shelter that's large enough to allow them to sit and lie down, but small enough to conserve body heat. It can be as simple as a pre-manufactured pet house, a wooden box, a foam cooler, or even a cardboard box, insulated on all sides with foam board, old blankets, or plastic. The bottom can be lined with blankets or even cedar shavings, straw, or hay. And checking the bedding daily to ensure it's dry is important because dirty and wet bedding can be fatal to a pet. Consider turning the shelter so it faces away from the wind and cover the doorway with heavy plastic, or place the shelter in a garage or a covered porch. All of these can provide a few additional degrees of much-needed warmth. And lastly, Bannister reminds us to make sure they have access to fresh, non-frozen water and food to replace the energy they lose from trying to stay warm. The Cullman Senior Center is hosting several interesting classes in the upcoming months. Tuesday, February 18th at 1 o'clock, seniors can participate in a frame loom weaving class. The class is $42 per person, which includes all supplies. Another opportunity is the Fused Glass Art class, which will take place Tuesday, March 18th at 12:30 at the center. For $22 per person, participants can make a fused glass flower pot magnet to take home. Line dancing classes will also start on Wednesday, February 5th at 12:30. The class is for beginners or intermediate dancers. All classes at the center are open to those 60 and older. The Cullman Senior Center is located at 1539 Sportsman Lake Road in Cullman. Get more info by calling 256-734-0145 or visiting Cullman Senior Center and Travel on Facebook. Local warming stations and shelters will be opening in the area through partnerships with United Way of Cullman County and the Cullman County EMA. Donald E. Green Active Adult Center in Cullman will be open as needed and will close by 9 p.m. if no one has checked in. Hanceville Civic Center in Hanceville will be open on a need-to basis during the extremely cold weather. If you're a volunteer or would like to be, a meeting will be held on Monday morning at 8 a.m. at the Hanceville Civic Center. The Beth Stadia Fire Department will be opening as a warming station on a need-to basis. The Link of Cullman County in Cullman will be open to the community during normal business hours, providing food, clothing, hygiene products, and more. The Link is accepting donations of blankets, heaters, winter clothes, and food. Unsheltered International in Cullman is open every Monday from 9 to 12, providing food, clothing, hygiene products, and more. The warming shelter is available during normal business hours. Unsheltered International is also accepting donations of blankets, shoes, and clothes. Cullman Caring for Kids and Northbrook Caring Center are serving as donation and distribution centers, but do not have warming shelters. And that's all for our top stories this morning. Coming up, weekend results from the county basketball tournament. Sports is up next.
Step into Cullman, where local heroes and community spirit shine. Introducing Community Matters Magazine from the Cullman Tribune. your guide to inspiring tales and community spirit. Celebrate our local champions and dive into the festivities at Christ Kindle Market. Feel the season's cheer and discover stories that inspire. Community Matters Magazine. Connect with your community. Find your free issue at these locations or download a copy online.
In today's sports segment, let's take a look at the results from day one of this year's Cullman County basketball tournament. Day one was packed with JV matchups. Our first game of the day was the JV boys battle between Fairview and Holly Pond. After a tight first half, the Aggies outscored the Broncos 9-4 in the third quarter to create some separation and continued pulling away in the fourth to secure a 42-28 win and spot in the JV boys semifinals. Fairview will face the top-seeded West Point Warriors today at 3 p.m. The fourth-seeded Lady Warriors clashed with the fifth-seeded Lady Broncos of Holly Pond in Saturday's second JV matchup, and it was another hard-fought contest. After a low-scoring first quarter, the Lady Broncos went into the locker room leading 17-14, but the Lady Warriors were able to rally in the second half and secure a spot in the semifinals with a 50-35 win over Holly Pond. West Point will advance to take on top-seeded Cold Springs in the JV girls semifinals Thursday at 5 p.m. Good Hope met Hanceville in Saturday's second JV boys matchup, and the Raiders got off to a fast start in this one. Good Hope built a 32-15 lead by the end of the first half and continued to pull away in the second half, securing their spot in the JV boys semifinals with a 59-33 win over the Bulldogs. Good Hope will face Cold Springs in the JV boys semifinals Tuesday at 4:30. In our second JV girls matchup of the day, Fairview took on Vinemont, and the Lady Aggies took control early. The Lady Eagles were held scoreless in the opening period and trailed Fairview 29-15 at halftime. Vinemont continued to battle back, but Fairview was able to fend off the Lady Eagles and advance to the semifinals with a 48-33 win. The Lady Aggies will take on Good Hope in the JV girls semifinals Friday at 5. The nightcap from the opening day of this year's county tournament featured a JV boys matchup between Cold Springs and Vinemont, and the Eagles of Cold Springs got off to a fast start in this one. Cold Springs jumped out to a 37-7 lead in the first half and cruised through the second half on its way to a 61-19 win. Cold Springs will face Good Hope in the JV boys semifinals Tuesday at 4:30. That wraps up sports for today. After the break, we'll bring you our 4 stories in under 4 minutes, including yard and garden freeze prep, a day conference for women, a Valentine's Day Parents' Night Out, and Wallace State's first endowed scholarship of the year. We'll return right after this message. Welcome back. Now it's time to speed things up with a news rundown with 4 stories in less than 4 minutes. Bitterly cold weather with temperatures in most parts of the state remaining at freezing levels this week raises concern for outdoor plants. Experts encourage residents to take the proper precautions to ensure your plants and gardens make it through the freezing temperatures. Preventative measures like ensuring proper soil moisture is the first step. Brian Brown, home horticulture agent, encourages owners to water your plants as needed because soil moisture will help absorb heat. Covering plants with lightweight cloth will also provide insulation for heat emitted from the ground. And plants in containers can be moved inside a garage or next to a structure to keep cold, harsh winds from damaging the roots. Cool season crops like collard greens, cabbages, onions, and broccoli can survive temperatures below freezing for short periods of time. Root crops such as carrots, radishes, and turnips will need to be heavily mulched or covered to prevent damage. And pruning dead and diseased wood is not recommended right after a hard freeze. For more information about gardening throughout the year, listen to Alabama Extension's From the Ground Up podcast or search gardening in the search bar of www.aces.edu. Walter Baptist Church will host a Covered with Love Women's Day conference in February. Church member Nina Ellard said Covered with Love will be a celebration of what God has done. It'll include inspirational speakers and light refreshments. Ellard said women are asked to bring their favorite quilt, blanket, or afghan that is special to them. Covered with Love will be on Sunday, February 2nd from 2 to 4 p.m. at Walter Baptist Church in Hanceville. There is no cost for the event. For more information, call 256-352-6328. Wolfpack Martial Arts is hosting a Parents' Night Out on Friday, February 14th. The event will offer a fun evening of movies for the kids while giving parents an opportunity to enjoy their own Valentine's Day plans. The event will run from 5:30 to 9 p.m. and will feature a double feature screening of Kung Fu Panda 4 and Despicable Me 4. The cost is $20 for the first child, $15 for the second, and $10 for each additional child per household. Pizza and Capri Sun drinks will be provided, and children are welcome to wear their pajamas and bring blankets and pillows or sleeping bags. Parents are welcome to stay if they choose. Wolfpack Martial Arts is a family-owned studio dedicated to sharing its passion for Taekwondo with the Cullman community. For more information about the Parents' Night Out movie night or programs offered at Wolfpack, call 256-531-6943 or email wolfpackmartialarts2024@gmail.com. The Wallace State Community College Future Foundation announced its first endowed scholarship of the year with the creation of the Dr. James Speaker and Donna Speaker Endowed Scholarship. The scholarship will benefit students studying diagnostic imaging at Wallace State. Donna Speaker, a former English and Spanish instructor at Wallace State, says she wanted to do something permanent in hers and her husband's memory, who is a doctor in Cullman and passed away in 2017. The first scholarship is expected to be awarded in fall of 2026 to a diagnostic imaging program student, with preference to a single parent when possible. Dr. Speaker's early experience as an X-ray technician influenced Ms. Speaker's decision. The Diagnostic Imaging Program Director, Dr. Jim Malone, said he's deeply grateful for the meaningful contribution to the program and students' futures. Wallace State Community College offers degrees in diagnostic imaging and radiation therapy. And that's our 4 stories in under 4 minutes. Now for a quick break before we look at the weather ahead and pay our respects with obituaries. I'll be right back after this message. Let's take a moment to pause and remember those who have lost their lives this week as we turn to obituaries. Jerry Wayne Adams passed away on January 8th at the age of 87. No services are planned at this time. Donnie Allen Myers, age 61 of Cullman, passed away on Saturday, January 18th. No services are planned at this time. Robert Warren Byland, age 75 of Cullman, passed away on Saturday, January 18th. No services are planned at this time. Our thoughts and prayers go out to their friends and families. Now let's take a moment to look ahead at today's weather forecast. Today it'll be sunny with a high near 28, wind chill values between 0 and 10. Tonight there's a slight chance of flurries after midnight with a low around 12 and wind chill values between 3 and 8 degrees. Tuesday, we'll see a slight chance of flurries before noon, then a slight chance of snow after noon. Skies will be partly sunny with a high near 31 and wind chill values between 4 and 14. Tuesday night will be mostly clear with a low around 9 degrees. That wraps up today's edition of Cullman Today. Thank you for sharing your morning with us. And remember to stay connected by following us on social media and visiting CullmanTribune.com for the latest from our community. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. I'm Christine Wiggins with Cullman Today. Have a wonderful Monday, Cullman.